Hey book friends, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing my monthly movie moment. So I decided for the month of January, because this is the month I was born in, I was going to do one of my favorite movie adaptations and give you my top 5 adaptations of this story, and that story being Cinderella. I don't know what it is about the story of Cinderella or how many times I've seen it in movie version. I love watching as many versions of this story as I can get my hands on. And today I'm just going to give you my top 5 picks for the movie adaptations of the story of Cinderella. And Disney is making itself on this list more than once. For my number 5 spot, I chose The Slipper and the Rose, which is a 1972 musical retelling of Cinderella. It is a very long movie, but it is a very fun and quirky musical as well, and the fairy godmother is one with a lot of sass, and I absolutely adored her. The coach is not my favorite, it's actually quite ugly, as well as her dress wasn't exactly my favorite either, but the actors who brought the story to life were just brilliant, and the singing is awesome. One of my favorite sequences in the entire movie was with the Prince Edward and his servant, or his courtier guy that kind of followed him around. They go to the royal mausoleum and discuss the fact that they already have his royal plot picked out when he passes away, and they have this upbeat, happy song about all the dead royals in this mausoleum while doing a very complicated gymnastics dance routine, and it is the best part of the movie and my favorite part. So if you have a chance, look up The Slipper and the Rose, what a comforting thing to know. I'll leave a link in the bottom if I do find it here on YouTube, but it is my favorite sequence in the entire movie. My next favorite movie adaptation is yet another musical, and this was The Wonderful World of Disney's TV premiere of Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, which featured Whitney Houston and Brandy. Whoopi Goldberg and Victor Garber are in this as well. And I absolutely adored it and loved it because, as I mentioned before in previous videos, when I was a kid, every Sunday night meant Wonderful World of Disney. Whether that meant an already Disney classic that they just adapted to put onto TV, whether it be shortening or whatnot, or a series of vignettes or cartoons that they put together to a certain theme, or a movie made specifically for the program itself. And the Rodgers and Hammerstein's musical of Cinderella was just that. The first adaptation of this musical was an on-TV movie starring Julie Andrews. And so they kind of revamped it, and Whitney Houston, I think, was the director even on the set, or the musical director, I'm not too sure, but Whitney Houston had a hand in bringing this show to life, and it features Brandy, who back in the day was a pop star when I was in high school, so it was absolutely fantastic. It had a very diverse cast and a very talented cast. Now, with the diversity of the cast, which is just great, however, even as a kid, I kind of noticed that the queen is Whoopi Goldberg, who is a black woman, the king is Victor Garber, who is white, and their son is Asian. And even as a kid, I couldn't figure out how that worked. But I love it watching it now. It has a very whimsical feel to it. It has a very musical, production-y stage look to it, even though it's a movie. And I liked how they brought it all together. And the music is just absolutely fantastic. And if I could choose a fairy godmother, I would like Whitney Houston to be my fairy godmother, because she was just incredible. And of course, for number 3, we have the 1950 animated version of Cinderella by Walt Disney, which featured Eileen Woods as the voice of Cinderella and Eleanor Audley as the voice of Lady Tremaine. And I loved Eleanor Audley as a Disney legend. She was an incredibly talented actress who brought such villains as Lady Tremaine and Maleficent to life, and she did them with such class and poise at the same time, and she was just an incredible Disney legend. Eileen Woods just passed away in 2008, I believe it was, and my mom was listening to the radio when they announced it, and in her honor, they played A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes, which is probably one of my top favorite Disney songs. A Dream is a Wish Your Heart Makes is kind of my own personal theme song. I absolutely love it, and I love that aspect of being a dreamer. I'm kind of the dreamer in my family, which is why I enjoy this movie so much. And my number 2 pick for Cinderella adaptation is Ever After, featuring Drew Barrymore and Angelica Hudson. This movie came out in 1998 and was one of my favorite movies ever released at that time. I watched it many times and have enjoyed it every single time. This is my all-time favorite Drew Barrymore movie, and she is one of my favorite actresses. I just simply love the characters that she becomes, and her portrayal of Danielle as Cinderella was just beautiful and right on. She was a very strong female character, but at the same time still portrayed that Cinderella fairy tale-esque heroine as well, and so I thoroughly enjoyed that. And of course, Angelica Hudson brings a classiness to being a villain, and I absolutely adored her. She has this perfect facade and character to be a villain, but at the same time you just simply love the way she portrays this character, so you can't help but love this villain at the same time. And my number one Cinderella adaptation of all time just came out this past year, and that was the 2015 Disney live-action version of Cinderella, which is kind of a reimagining of the Disney animated classics. So it stayed very close to the animated version, but also expanded on the animated version and gave it so much more heart and depth. And this, I was waiting for anticipation the entire time I heard it was in production, and it was worth every moment of it. And like I said, I am a Cinderella fan. I am a dreamer. I simply adore this movie, and I cry at several parts of it just because it was absolutely beautiful. When her dress transforms, it was just breathtaking. It was that moment I wanted the entire time, because the transformation of Cinderella's dress was such an iconic moment in the animated version, and just an iconic moment in Disney animation in general, because everyone recognizes that no matter what generation you are, and I wanted them to do it justice in the live action, and it was just perfect. And the casting was absolutely phenomenal. Lily James as Cinderella, Richard Madden as Prince Kit, which I absolutely loved. Helen Bonham Carter, when they announced her as the fairy godmother, I was like, okay, I'm curious to see where this is going. I absolutely loved her. She was a perfect fairy godmother. She was adorable and sassy and cute and sweet and just everything you would want in a fairy godmother. And of course, Cate Blanchett brings class and sophistication to whatever role she plays, and she did so well as the role of Lady Tremaine that made you love and adore her, yet completely despise her at the same time. She played that role to perfection. I loved Cate Blanchett before she was even in Cinderella, and I love her even more because of it. Hayley Atwell also makes an appearance as Ella's mother, and that part, of course, is also heartbreaking and makes me cry every time I watch it. And it's just an all-around perfect cast. It has those perfect iconic Cinderella moments with the transformation of the dress. The pumpkin carriage was my favorite carriage thus far, and the shoes were just simply gorgeous. I would actually love to own a pair of those shoes in real life, even though I don't wear high heels, but they were just simply gorgeous. And of course, I love that Ella and Kit meet before the ball, and Kit is just intrigued with her, and their relationship was just simply adorable. So all around, favorite adaptation of Cinderella goes to 2015 live action. That is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.